Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Linda and I am Senior Naturalist with Lorain County Metro Parks. And I am here today to tell you about a new program that we are starting up. Ready, set, go birding. So this new program will be posted on our educational page, and we will be posting on Facebook when these different sessions will be available for you to view. This program is designed for beginning birders, but of course anybody is invited to join, and you do not have to watch every session. You can pick and choose which one you would like to view. What we are going to be doing in each session is the first part will be an informative information on bird identification, including physical characteristics like size, shape, color, habitat, behavior. And then the second portion of the sessions would be visiting with the different naturalists at different park locations and learning about what birds you can see there at different times of the year. That way you can go and visit these parks and be able to know when the best time is to see a good diversity of our feathered friends. So why bird? Well, you know, in this day and age, everybody is looking for a new hobby to start. And this is a great one because, you know, there's over 10,000 different species of birds worldwide. Wow. So they are in just about every habitat, and you can see them any time of year. So it is a fun activity. I've been doing it for years. And another good thing is that you only need 2 pieces of equipment. So we're going to go over that right now. So the first thing you need is a bird identification book. So there's several different kinds. The Golden Guide is one that I've used for years. And with the bird books, you can easily get them under $30 or less. So this is the Field Guide to North America. So that's important to make sure you get the right one. And then the Peterson Field Guides are also a very commonly used and well-known series. And this one actually is for the Eastern and Central North America. National Geographic also has a bird book, and there's lots of other bird books out there that you can utilize. Some also put out a beginner's book, first guide, and these typically are smaller, cheaper, and easier to fit in your pocket. So that is another option. And then if you are specifically looking at a certain group of birds, such as ducks or hawks, there's also these cool fold-out things, and they highlight that specific group of bird that you are going to view. So those are nice, and those are usually laminated. So the other thing that you might also need as far as paper-wise, books, you might have a notebook that you would want to keep for your record keeping, you know, the date and time of your trip and what birds you have seen. Some people I know have written it right directly into the field guide as to when the first time that they saw that peregrine falcon was, or red-tailed hawk. The other thing that you can use as far as record keeping is contact the park reservation or, you know, whatever the location is that you're going. They often have a bird checklist that you can utilize. And actually, these are a very good resource because they often have what time of year that you would see this bird species. So that can help you in your identification and determining what bird that you are looking at. And another helpful thing to do is to maybe get involved with the local group. The Metro Parks has a lot of different programs, especially Sandy Ridge Reservation offers a lot of bird hikes and programs, but also the local Audubon. Although they are doing virtual programs right now, that is another resource, and they also have this newsletter that has good article information and up-to-dated unique sightings and things like that. Okay, so that's kind of the bird book. The other piece of equipment that you would need for bird watching, of course, is binoculars. Okay, so there's a lot of different kinds of binoculars out there, brand names. We use the Leopold. There also is Bushnell. Again, there's many other reputable brand names. You can get these less than $100, and actually you can get a decent pair on sale, $50, maybe a little less. The size of optics that we suggest for good general use is the 6x30. And then if you do a lot of birding, some people get the spotting scope, but you're talking a little bit down, the road from beginning birding. But if you go out with a group of people or somebody else that typically somebody has a spotting scope and sets it up and everybody can take a look. So where do we start? Well, today I'm going to just kind of preview a little bit about bird identification, and our next session will be at French Creek Nature Center, where we will be focusing on bird feeding in the wintertime and taking a look at the birds there. We will also be talking about the backyard bird count, which happens in mid-February. So this way you can kind of prepare yourself, and that would be another indoor activity that you can become involved with. And then also we will talk a little bit more about recording your findings with eBird and iBird, iNaturalist. So those are other helpful resources that we will let you know about. So wintertime actually is a good time to start learning about birds, because you can feed birds in your backyard. Well, why feed birds? Will birds survive the winter if we don't feed them? Well, yes, they will. However, I kind of refer to it as the grocery store theory. When you go grocery shopping, you probably have one or two, maybe three places that you like to go to and use versus traveling around going to 8 or 9 different places. Birds are kind of the same way. So if you have a feeding station out there and they know it, they're going to come to it because they're going to get all their food at one location. It makes it a lot easier and helps them save energy for the cold day. So if you don't already feed birds, we're going to go back with that, 2 and 2. 2 types of feeders and 2 types of food, kind of like the 2 equipment. So for the first type of feeder and food would be the suet feeder. Okay, that's usually a cage, and you can get very fancy and get a multi one or just one, or some people even make their own cage feeder, or you can even use a mesh bag and put the suet in it. You could purchase the suet cakes, which I recommend because it's very easy and convenient then to put it in the holder. Some people also go to their meat cutter guy and get the suet fat and use it that way. The second type of feeder is the hopper feeder that I recommend. So this is more like kind of a little house with a platform on it, and that allows the larger birds to perch on there while they are feeding. Sometimes they scratch around and knock seed on the ground, and then the little birds that like to feed off the ground now have a food source as well. So the type of seed that you would typically put in that hopper feeder would be the oil sunflower seed, and I recommend this. It is a smaller seed. The shell is thinner than the black oil sunflower seed, so it makes it easier for the smaller little birds to open up that shell and get at the nice little nut meat inside for their food. Okay, so you got your 2 pieces of equipment, you got your 2 types of feeders, 2 types of food. So, what do we do? How do we start to bird and learn how to identify birds? And so, I'm going to kind of start out with when people call us, we don't always have the option to see that bird. So we're asking them questions on the phone. So we're going to kind of relate it to things that they already know. So we're going to ask them, well, do you know about what size that bird is? So we are going to relate it to things that they probably already know. And you probably already know more birds species than you think you know. So we first ask them, is it small and tiny like a hummingbird? Or is it small like a finch or a junco or a sparrow? Okay, so we're going to move up in size. So is it about the size of a woodpecker? This is a little downy woodpecker. So it is a little bit bigger. Then the junco. All right, and is it the size of a blue jay? A similar sized bird would be a robin or a cardinal. But obviously with the coloration, we would know the difference, and we ask them that too. What is the main color of the bird? The blue jay is a little more sleek than the robust robin. So then here is a smallest falcon that we have that lives around here. This is a kestrel or a sparrowhawk, so it is a little bit bigger than a robin. Okay, and most people know what a blackbird is, okay, or is it the size of a grackle? And then a little bit bigger for a crow. Or is it the size of a hawk? This is a red-tailed hawk. And actually there's one flying behind me in the painting. And then the next size up, is it the size of a duck? So this is a mallard duck, something that probably most people are familiar with. Is it the size of a goose? This is a snow goose, but around here, of course, we have the Canada goose. Again, something that most people are probably familiar with. And then up a little bit bigger is the turkey. Is it the size of a turkey? Or is it tall and skinny, like a great blue heron? Or is it really big, like this trumpeter swan? So places like Sandy Ridge certainly can have all these birds that show up here. So anyways, that's like 14 different bird species right there. And if you feed birds in your backyard, you probably are familiar with even a few more species. So we talk about the size, the shape, and then is there anything special about the bird? Does it have a crest on its head like the blue jay? So we also asked them if there's any other special markings. And then, where did you see it? Was it at your feeder? Was it by a body of water, like a pond? Was it in the woods? Was it in the field? And was it behaving in any special way? Was it scratching on the ground? Was it bobbing its head? So anything unique about its behavior. So those things are all clues to help us identify these birds. So physical attributes, habitat. However, birds do utilize different habitats, but the one they most often spend their time in is the one where they are foraging for food and then during breeding season. So what we're trying to do here is build our birding identification skills upon the things that we already know and are familiar with. And these sessions, we will discuss all of these things and compare it with specific bird examples so that you become familiar with learning how to identify birds and using your bird book. And so the other thing too is that we will also talk about identifying birds by sound and geographic range, where they typically are found throughout the United States. But then we also have to consider migration time, because you can see very unusual species during certain times of the year. So we hope that you join us for future programs. And again, we will be doing these series throughout the next couple months. The first part of the program will be talking about bird identification, tips and techniques. And then the second part, we will be exploring the different parks so that you can see what they have to offer in the way of birding. So thank you very much, and we will see you at French Creek.